Here I'm using a MSD Street Fire distributor, part number 5591, which is made for use in 87 to 95, 305, 350, and 454 applications. This comes with distributor gear lubricant and instructions. I'll be using it in a 96 383 Chevy small block. I'll also be using an external epoxy-filled MSD coil. You see it comes with the ignition control module, which we'll be removing as the FiTech has its own internal igniter, which is required to use the onboard timing control feature. This distributor does come with a 1/2-inch internal diameter Melonized Distributor gear, as confirmed by a MSD tech from their support phone number. It is part number 8531. It is safe to run on a GM hydraulic roller camshaft. That was my concern since I'm using the HT383 cam. I'm going to go ahead and remove the 2 Phillips head screws on top that are holding on the cap. Here's a shot without the cap on for you extra curious types. Removing the ignition module, I used a 1/4-inch drive ratchet. You can use either a 5.5mm or 7/32 socket. Let's go ahead and remove these 2 screws. We're removing these little plastic prongs on this clip. I ended up switching to a 90-degree pick to remove the clips. There we go. I went ahead and wiped off the thermal grease. We won't be needing that. I ended up purchasing the MSD-GM HEI bypass module cable, part number 8861, to be able to plug in directly to the distributor magnetic trigger. These wires are purple and green. We have these spade connectors crimped on one end and a connector on the other. From the magnetic trigger, we have a white and green cable coming out to a pigtail connector. I'm going to go ahead and remove the pigtail connector with a pick and snip off the end and crimp on a female spade connector, wrap it up in electrical tape. You can join these wires however you prefer, crimp on or solder. I'm going to crimp on a female spade connector. That's it, got that off. I may have forgotten to mention the bypass cable comes with a little grommet for us to slide the wires through so they won't get pinched under the cap. You'll have to fabricate a little plate to close up the gap left by the ignition module we removed. I trimmed a piece of flat rubber not shown to close up the gap. This is to give you an idea of how the grommet and wires will look once reassembled. I'm snipping off the metal prongs that were inside the connector. Now that I have some insulation stripped back, I'm going to slip on some female spade connectors and crimp them down. Now that I have everything crimped on and some electrical tape over the crimp-on connector, I'll show you how it'll look once assembled. I put electrical tape over the crimp-on since the shrink tube I had was a little too small to slip over it. With everything completed, you should be able to stab in the distributor and bring your engine to number 1 top dead center on the compression stroke and stop at your desired base timing. The base for my cam is 10 degrees. On the controller keypad, you'll input this number under ignition setup, distributor base timing. After that, crank over the engine and use a timing light to match handheld reported timing. From there, the FiTech should be able to control timing. Subscribe and stay tuned to my truck build progress.